What is going on with the markets today? A lot of wild price action. Let's waste no time and dive right in. So here's the 48-hour Bitcoin chart at a pretty pleasant price pump yesterday, 37,000 to 40,000. Everyone was excited, and then I wake up this morning and Bitcoin has fallen off a roof, gone down 39,500 to 36,500. Let's see what's going on here. So the pump was pretty simple. So Fed issues biggest rate hike in 22 years. This headline sounds kind of ominous, but this is just the standard buy the rumor or sell the rumor, buy the news situation. This had been priced in days before. It was anticipated that the rate hike would be 0.5%, the biggest in 22 years. So when the announcement came yesterday, and the announcement was over, and the hike wasn't any bigger than anticipated, and it was in line with expectations. Trade is relaxed, the market's relaxed, and everything went up 5%. Equities too yesterday, but then today, red, red, red everywhere. That's a little bit harder to decipher. See, just so what's going on here? Well, I mean, I think this is really just, when you're in a bear market, this is what happens. It just shakes off positive news fast. You get a little price pump, you're excited, and it just gives up the gains the next day for no reason whatsoever. You can't try to speculate what's behind it or anything. It just gives up gains quickly for no reason. That's how it works. There were a couple of interesting studies that came out yesterday and said it might have shed some light here. This one, Bitcoin funds saw the largest single week of outflows since June 2021. So these are the Bitcoin exchange traded funds, like the Grayscale fund, the CoinShares XBT funds. Each one, they have there's a Bitcoin fund, an Ethereum fund, a multi-asset fund. They cover the funds for most of the top 10 coins. It's for people who do not want to actually buy Bitcoin or whatever on their own. They don't necessarily have the technical skill set, but they want to invest in a fund that trades like a stock, but that follows the price movement of each individual asset there. So the article goes on to say that's largest week of outflow since June last year, marginally offset by a surprise $38 million worth of inflows into the FTX token exchange. Get into that in a second. So this is where so it's 38 million went into the FTX product. So that's almost all this other category right here. So clearly, with all the outflows, this shows just regular institutional investors, the more passive long-term investors, they're a little bit bearish right now. You could argue that these aren't quite the savvier crypto traders. They just sort of passively follow the markets, even though there's big money. But nonetheless, they do have an effect on price movement. So this is bearish. But then what's going on with the FTX and the 38 million going into there? Exchange traded products. Well, I believe it is related to Crypto Bahamas, which just happened. This was an institutional investor conference. Remember, there's politicians, university presidents, mainstream macro hedge fund people there. So this was most likely a single infusion of investment from one of those entities. It could have been a university endowment fund putting in 38 million. It could have been a pension fund. It could have been a mainstream macro global hedge fund. Somebody who was at the conference obviously liked Sam Bankman-Fried, thinks they like his leadership ability. They're bullish on FTX. They like how the company's run. So I think this definitely stemmed from the conference. So that's bullish there. Good for FTX. Here's another interesting study will come out. So the Bitfinex whale, a lot of people follow the Bitfinex whales trades. That trader tends to be fairly accurate. They've been around forever. The Bitfinex whale since 2013. They at times have contrarian trades that are not 100% correct, but are generally more correct than the average trader is. So they have a lot of bids placed. They're bullish right now. They're buying a lot. And then if you look here, so like in late March, they put in a lot of sells at 45, 48. That's right here. They're very correct. They didn't time it perfectly. It went up a little bit here, but then their huge sells here then turned out to be pretty good because Bitcoin started tanking after that. But with this here, the buys from yesterday, it appears that they were not correct, or at least one day in, they're not correct. But nonetheless, since the Bitfinex whale has proven to be a savvy trader, it is always, worthy sort of following their trades, even though they're not 100% correct. Let's move on. Microstrategy, they said that they would face a margin call and possibly be liquidated if crypto falls to 21,000, but they can invest more before then, so a margin call and liquidation would not happen. So it's not automatic. Also, you got to factor in the PR element here. That this story was debunked here that Michael Saylor might have sold some of his Bitcoin a week ago. That was completely debunked, but it just goes to show that you are a big company and you invest in Bitcoin as part of your company's cash balances, and you promote it. Then, if you ever decide to sell, which he didn't, but if you ever do, that would be bad publicity. So that's something they got to consider, even if they make an investment in the short term. It won't be profitable. Maybe they could do some other stuff with that cash. It will be getting bad publicity from the cryptocrats, and that will affect people's investment decisions. Okay, on to some more lighter news here. So CZ has shared his tips for how to get listed on Binance. This is pretty. A lot of these are kind of just as expected. Some of them are pretty interesting. So obviously he's big. If your token happens to be listed on the Binance Smart Chain, and then incorporating BNB into your ecosystem and the fundraising process, that helps. That makes sense. He's big on the greater Binance ecosystem and being a part of that and promoting that. What else? Communication is key, and responsiveness in a timely manner is important as well. So the responsiveness and this would indicate that a lot of people maybe don't even respond to Binance's emails when they get back to the team. I would guess there's a lot of times when teams are successful in their initial stages, they just get bombarded with emails from prospective investors, partners, exchanges, and they just kind of go into sort of robotic, ignore everyone kind of mode. You just can't do that. You have to be able to kind of decipher the 1% important emails versus the 99% unimportant emails that you can ignore, because then if you ignore an email from Binance or an Apple or a Nike or a huge company like that, you're basically burning a bridge. And a lot of teams just don't have the ability to separate out the important contacts from the non-important contacts. So CZ, you think people would respond to Binance's emails? Apparently they don't sometimes. What else? Larger user adoption, the better. That is anticipated right there. Poor or unprofessional communication will negatively affect your chances. Your ability to communicate will demonstrate how your team handles tough situations. So this would indicate a lot of teams maybe they get a little frustrated in the process, a little finicky. Maybe they give attitude to Binance if they think Binance is taking too long. You can't do that. So you want patience, calmness. Do not give Binance any attitude. So using your community to campaign for your project aggressively will not be looked favorably upon. I've seen this with so many teams. They're upset they're not on Binance and start rallying their whole Twitter base. Get us listed on Binance and take all these votes. It does not help. I have never seen that once help a team get listed. If anything, it works against you. And then here, a charitable contribution is favorable. So I'd argue this is probably less about the actual charity and more about just sort of weeding out the 95% of teams that don't have capital versus the 5% of small cut projects that actually do have capital and more legit companies. You say, okay, I'll donate, $50,000 to charity, then okay, you have $50,000 to play with. You might still be a smaller market cap coin, but that definitely separates you out from all the other sort of, non-entity projects. It's the screening process, basically. What else is Binance? France has granted them regulatory approval, so France will be their European headquarters. They also have Binance US, the US headquarters, and their international headquarters will be Dubai. So they're kind of spreading their wings there. India, capital gains. So India, about a month ago, it imposed a 30% capital gains tax on traders, and now they're levying an additional 20% tax on the DeFi products, so like staking gains, 20% tax. So if anything, this is kind of bullish. If they're making these rule, I mean, they're not banning crypto completely. If they're initiating these regulatory things, capital, taxes, they're realizing, okay, crypto is in our country to stay, so we might as well tax it. So I think this is definitely bullish, even though the article title sounds kind of negative. Let's see. Yeah, see here, global chain analysis, the global crypto adoption index top 20. India is ranked number 2. So this is the amount of crypto adoption in a country in relation to each citizen's disposable income. So India is ranked number 2 here. So pretty big player. I think they're also ranked number 2 in the total number of tech startups of any country in the world. I think their tech startup ecosystem is ranked like number 5 or 6, which also takes into account the amount of VC funding and the amount of successful projects, the amount of unicorns they have. companies with a $1 billion valuation or more. So India, they're an important player, very underrated. So if there's regulation happening here, then they're gonna get more into it. Then that's bullish. It's a lot of people there. Apecoins. This was yesterday. They're up 14%. Of course, today that may tanked with the market, but yesterday they did have a pretty big pump, more so than Bitcoin. Elon Musk, he updated his Twitter profile briefly to show a collection of Bored Ape NFTs here. He eventually took it down because of a copyright thing, whatever. I mean, that's the thing with NFTs, but nonetheless, he is clearly an Apecoin fan, so that's good. I think, was this Planet picture here beforehand? I think so. Not sure. Nonetheless, I definitely feel that Apecoin is kind of going to be one of those mainstay coins in the top 30 or 4 permanently. They definitely the retail trader base, so that's important. Bitcoin Trailblazer raises capital to create an interplanetary cryptocurrency. So SpaceX hopes to have people live in space by 2040. It's going to be 1 trillion space economy is predicted. So the U.S. economy is 25 trillion. So 1 trillion is kind of small compared to that. It's about the 1 trillion is about the size of Canada or Australia's global economy. So big enough that it warrants some competition to be the cryptocurrency of outer space. Successful, the first bodega bank set up Moon or Mars will have a new kind of money. It will hopefully be this Starcoin, they call it. Whoever gets there first wins. Keep tabs on that. Moving on, Sleep Future, their IDO on Bitmart sold out. I've been talking about this coin a little bit. And then today they got listed on PancakeSwap, so they are making moves. Good for them. Cold Daz was yesterday up 16% on their secondary reveal, their new coin, the Revolt coin. Mr. Modulus texting here. It's almost time. Not sure for what. Hopefully for a price pump in the markets. Today he texted tweeted that, and then this. So let's see. Up to today, I've only ever launched 2 tokens in my life. So he's not saying what the first token. This is what a lot of the excitement for the project is. He launched some token before Cold DAO and Revolt. A lot of people think he might be Ryoshi, founder of Shiba Inu. Nobody's confirmed that yet. I definitely do believe he is somebody important that stems from when Cold DAO came out. Every coin does an audit, so you actually have to do actual KYC for the founders, and the auditing company did this. KYC devs were shocked that Mr. Modulus turned out to be a very well-known crypto founder. I do believe this is accurate because the amount of trading volumes that the coin picked up on all the exchanges almost immediately after they were listed was just an exponential increase, much larger than normal for a small cap coin, and just the amount of interest in the coin in general. It's not like they did a huge IDO public sale. There wasn't too much done initially that would get people excited, make it such a buzzworthy coin. So I do believe there is truth to the rumors that he is somebody important in the crypto space, maybe Ryoshi, maybe somebody else, but I do believe that is accurate. That's it for today. We'll be back tomorrow with a new episode. Excuse me. Catch everyone later.